And so today we will be discussing all about medieval art history. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Julia Marie Patagano Balase from the Jack 19 Group 2. So today's topic is all about medieval art history, in which I included here some discussion, explanations, and videos from the internet. I've gathered it all so that you can understand it well while having this presentation. Spends almost 1,000 years between 300 to 1,400 AD, and known as Middle Ages comes from the Latin word medium, which means the middle, and avum means the age. It happened between the ancient Greek and Roman cultures and the Renaissance period. At the time major art movements took place. The different artist traditions were matched, including styles from the Middle East and Africa. This encompasses 8 major artistic movements, namely Byzantine, Islamic, Viking, Carolingian, Celtic, Ottonian, Romanesque, and Gothic art. The first one here is what we call Byzantine art. From the 6th century in Constantinople and its zone of influence. It comprises the body of Christian Greek artistic products of the Eastern Roman Empire, as well as the nations and the states that inherited culturally from the empire.
Constantine's Byzantine Empire relied on the stability of the East while maintaining ample trade routes with the West. A new sect of Christianity, Catholicism, gained prominence in the West, but the artists of the region followed the lead of their Eastern Byzantine peers in terms of artistic style. One of the key points to remember about art of this age is that due to concerns about the Bible's prohibition of graven images, medieval artists avoided sculptures in the round, which could be viewed from all sides, such as Roman busts. Instead, artists tended towards one-dimensional and somewhat abstract art. During the decline of the Western Roman Empire, religious mosaics and frescoes made their appearances in medieval churches, cathedrals, and basilicas. Medieval art involved a fusion of Eastern and Western cultures, including Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. The earliest dating from 500 to 800 AD is best known for the tessellate or repeated patterns of Islam, and the Vikings featured migratory art. Constantine
The next one here is what we call Islamic art. It encompasses the visual art produced in the Islamic world. Religious art is represented by calligraphy, architecture, and furnishings of religious buildings, such as mosque fittings. Examples are mosque lamps and tiles, woodworks, and carpets.
ideas of heaven as a natural paradise and featured many floral patterns, as well as repeated geometric forms and elegant calligraphy.
Next is the Viking art. It is also known commonly as Norse art. It is a term widely accepted for the art of the Scandinavian Norsemen and Viking settlements further afield, particularly in the British Isles and Iceland, during the Viking Age of the 8th to 11th century. Knowledge of Viking art relies heavily upon more durable objects of metal and stone, including wood, Bone, ivory, and textiles are more rarely preserved. Human skin, which historical sources indicate was often elaborately tattooed.
The Vikings excelled in woodwork and metalwork, featuring interlaced patterns and abstract depictions of animals. As they were a migratory people, most of their art was portable. The Vikings are known for their fibulae, or golden brooches, and one of the most famous of these is the Ostrogothic golden eagle fibula, an abstract eagle brooch with a circular center and a geometric arrangement of precious gems. During
1 here is Carolingian art. Comes from the Frankish Empire in the period of roughly 120 years from about 780 to 900, known as the Carolingian Renaissance. The art was produced by and for the court circle and a group of important monasteries under imperial patronage, including here the countries France, Germany, Austria, northern Italy, and the Low Countries.
During the Carolingian period and between the late 8th and early 10th centuries, Emperor Charlemagne sponsored the construction of many extravagant churches and monasteries. He also lavished churches with gifts of liturgical items for use in Christian services, such as chalices, incense censers, and crosses made of gold and silver covered with pearls and gems. Although elaborate metal art had been common in the past, Charlemagne deliberately challenged the Byzantine iconoclasts of the late 700s by encouraging depictions of the human form, which could be viewed as idols in the liturgical art of his time. Charlemagne was also responsible for spreading literacy among nobles throughout his reign. He stressed the importance of books and reading, which had been neglected for many years, and his views led to the development of the popular Carolingian minuscule script. Illuminated manuscripts, or elaborately illustrated books, with covers made of precious metals and covered with jewels, were popular with monks in medieval times.
There is what we call Celtic art. It is associated with the peoples known as Celts or Celts. Celtic art is ornamental, avoiding straight lines and only occasionally using symmetry, without the imitation of nature central to the classical tradition, often involving complex symbolism. It includes here knotwork, spirals, clay patterns, lettering, zoomorphic landforms, and human figures.
The best-known illuminated manuscripts come from Celtic artists who used many of the same designs found in their legacy of metalwork in the intricate knot-like paintings in their books. Wealthy families owned their own illuminated manuscripts, which were called the Book of Hours, and were used for their daily religious activities. As demand grew, artists were encouraged to show off their skills in creating these manuscripts, which were needed for universities and monasteries, as well as wealthy patrons. Geometric patterns from Coptic Egypt and the Anglo-Saxon fascination with animal art began influencing Celtic style in the 7th century. Some of the best examples of early Middle Age art that we have today are found in illuminated manuscripts. The Book of Durrow, the Book of Kells, the Lindisfarne Gospels, and the Ebbo Gospels are four of the best-known manuscripts.
Next is the Ottonian art. Ottonian art is a style in pre-Romanesque German art, covering also some works from the Low Countries, including northern Italy and eastern France. Named by the art historian Hubert Janicek after the Ottonian dynasty. The Ottonian architecture, it is a key component of the Ottonian Renaissance.
During the Ottonian period, named after King Otto the Great, and his son and grandson Otto the second and the third, the cultural revival that Charlemagne had spearheaded influenced new art that took on an increasingly Germanic. By 1000 AD, Romanesque.
This Romanesque art. It is the art of Europe from approximately 1000 AD to the rise of the Gothic style in the 12th century. It is also Romanesque architecture, which retained many basic features of Roman architectural style, most notably round-headed arches, but also barrel vaults, apses, and acanthus leaf decoration. Romanesque art was also greatly influenced by Byzantine art, especially in the painting, and by the anti-classical energy of the decoration of the insular art of the British Isles.
By 1000 Romanesque architecture had begun to gain followers in France and quickly spread all over Europe as cities and their monasteries gained more and more power and wealth. Romanesque architecture was characterized by semicircular Roman arches, thick stone walls, and separated spaces according to function. Cathedrals were bigger than ever before and were richly decorated with vibrant paintings and figurative sculptures. Relief work in these cathedrals tended to be bigger than ever before, and artists explored new ways to make them more and more imposing. Every church had impressive frescoes depicting religious scenes, and this became almost mandatory for churches and cathedrals of the day. Many paintings featured horrible monsters and beasts battling it out with heroes, or amongst themselves. By the early 12th century, Gothic art had emerged in France.
At the least is the Gothic art. It is the style of medieval art that developed in northern France out of Romanesque art in the 12th century AD. The primary media in the Gothic period included sculpture, panel painting, stained glass, fresco, and illuminated manuscript. The earliest Gothic art was monumental sculpture on the walls of cathedrals and abbeys.
By the early 12th century, Gothic art had emerged in France. Gothic art was more realistic than previous medieval styles, and it also incorporated striking and elegant new designs into traditional art, which made this new style distinctive and popular. One of the key changes was in architecture, where it brought the integration of sculpture into buildings, like saint-shaped pillars and angels floating on window frames. The new design that Gothic architects adopted allowed them to free up space for stained glass windows. As a result, some spectacular stained glass work was created and installed in many churches. The most common themes depicted the Virgin Mary and Christ Child motif. As 1300 AD drew to a close, leading medieval artists like Giotto began searching for a way to set their work apart from the older Byzantine style.
So, those are the some gathered information about the Middle Age art or the medieval period of art. For more information, you can visit the link which we recognize in the next slide as our reference and sources. So that would be all, and I hope you learned something. For more information, just visit the link here in the slide indicated. So that would be all. Thank you.